Tech News Weekly is sponsored by GoDaddy. Get a .com domain name for only $2.49 by using offer code QUEENS at checkout. Hey everybody, welcome to Tech News Weekly. This is your source for all things tech. I'm Andrew Zarin. Of course, I'm joined by John, as I am each and every week. How you doing, John?
Hey, Andrew, what's up?
Nothing much. And of course, Josh Coleman is here with us. How you doing, Josh?
Every time I get into a ring. No.
It's wrong show.
Hello. Sorry, I was doing a wrestling promo. I thought I would do one, and then I realized I didn't have one ready to go.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's wonderful to be here.
J Mavericks Design is your website.
Right.
You design websites. You do business consulting. Everything.
Yeah.
You're an all-in-one package.
All in one.
All in one.
He's working the backwards hat thing today.
He is. He is doing the backwards hat thing. What kind of hat is
I
that?
could switch it for it.
It's a Mets hat.
Listen, it's a Mets hat.
New York
My hair
Giants.
cost- All right, so let me just show you.
The
These
W's.
hats are the ones that came out in spring training that I talked about on the show that have that material that I like. It's like sort of meshy.
You're a fan of the W's.
God.
It's a great
There,
team.
no hat.
That was a
Happy?
good band.
The W's. So we're going to talk about technology.
There
guys.
actually was a band called the W's.
I didn't know that. But I'm not surprised. So
They're
let's.
just-
Sing George Bush songs? Is that what?
That's all they do is sing George Bush songs. Let's
It was a Christian ska band, if you can believe it.
Interesting.
let's go into some news, huh? Apple iPad event reportedly set for October 22nd. All Things D seems to have a pretty solid source claiming that is the day we're going to get the iPad event. We're probably going to get a new iPad mini and the 5th generation iPad. I am very excited about this. I'm on an iPad 2. I don't really care about the mini. I like the larger iPad. And I have been waiting for years, literally 3 years, for this thing to come out.
3 years.
3
You've been
years.
waiting.
I have
You've
been waiting.
Sitting on top of a mountain waiting for this to happen.
Yes.
I can't believe the day is coming.
The day is coming. But in all seriousness, I really think they need to deliver something special with the next generation iPad because we have had the same form factor since the iPad 2.
Wait, they're going to do that. You know how they're going to do that?
How?
Oh,
It's going to be space gray.
that would be so disappointing.
But I mean,
We've
some
already
of the
seen the
rumors-
cases for it, so
We have.
we know space gray for the iPad is coming.
Are they going to have a gold one?
Yes.
Don't know.
Now, to kind of speculate on this, do you think a lower end iPad? Now, I'm not talking about the screen size, but I'm talking about like how they have the iPhone 5C and the iPhone 5S, where the 5C is a plastic, based phone. Do you think they could do something like that to kind of cut costs on a lower end model, like have the iPad 2 be replaced with a non-Retina plastic iPad?
Yes.
Okay, let me go to John first on this. Do you think this will work for them?
I have no idea.
Because the bigger question here is you know that you're getting something big with the next iPad. You know you're getting something with the iPad Mini, but that iPad 2 model is
Right.
extremely
and that's
dated.
just weird the way that they've worked these models, that they've kept the iPad 2 for so long. That is so unlike Apple to keep a product around that long, that they're still selling.
Yeah, because it's inexpensive, and for whatever reason, I think initially what people thought was going to happen is, okay, we're going to be one generation behind. It's going to be $50 cheaper, but if you want, you could go buy. But that's not the case. They have
And that
kept-
came out before the iPad mini. So I don't understand. If they're looking for that lower end market, why don't they just stay with the iPad mini for that lower price?
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's a fascinating question. I don't know, and this has been the confusion with the model numbers. I mean, why not have an iPad 3 on the market? Why take it off the market that fast? I think what they're doing is they're going to have a separation between Retina and non-Retina in every platform. You see it with the MacBooks. You're going to now see it with the iPads, like we have already, and with the iPhone. Actually, no, the iPhone they cut it. Like, they could afford to have a cheaper model, but I think it would be a good idea to remove the iPad 2 name totally, have the iPad C or whatever they're going to call it, and just
Right.
have it plastic and make that your cheap entry model iPad.
Right. And I think in
You
that,
think they're going to do like
if
all
they
the
do
different
that-
colors that they have for the iPhone 5C?
Yeah, I think that would be a huge selling point. What was that, Josh?
Yeah. I was saying that they should do the same thing they did with education, where they brought all those Apple IIs in. Now they could just bring this low cost tablet into all schools.
Yeah, I think that is a portion of the market that they've been trying to get for a while with these iPads, and they have the ability to do that because a lot of these schools could provide a lower end educational based iPad to the students.
Yeah.
And
true, but most like school districts with money, all the kids have iPads, right? But like those lower income areas where they have school, none of them, like maybe they have like the teacher has an Android tablet because the IT guy knows Android. You know what I
that's
mean?
a possibility, yeah.
So
but why not,
really
you know what they could do? They could cut costs tremendously on this thing and really have market saturation with a lower end iPad and where they're not really compromising. You could take away a camera on an iPad.
True.
It's not make or
Very
break.
true.
You could change it to a plastic, shell. It's not going to be make or break
Yep.
if you offer all these colors.
But then again, I think this is also in that territory where we're transitioning away from Steve Jobs' Apple to Tim Cook's Apple, where
True.
I think some of those ideas that Tim Cook is implementing, I don't think Steve Jobs ever would go for. I don't think Steve Jobs would ever go for a plastic iPhone. I just don't think he would, because knowing his personality and knowing that he didn't want it had to be his way or nothing.
Well, I mean, you look at the plastic MacBooks that sold so well, and they took it out because they said plastic. It's not our model.
Right.
They took it away because they felt that it was cheapening the brand, and they replaced the Air is the entry model laptop, which the Air is a beautiful laptop. Now where they're reintroducing this plastic format, it's interesting, and that it's not this is not Steve Jobs' company anymore. This is Tim Cook's vision. At this event, what are you excited to see? Because I know, John, you want an iPad. I mean, I'm definitely going to upgrade. I don't know about you, Josh, if you're going to upgrade to the latest iPad.
I will.
But by looking at some of these updates, obviously Retina. I don't have a Retina display on my iPad, so
Definitely
that's a huge selling
iPad
point.
Mini Retina.
You like the Mini?
I do, for the form factor. I think
I'm going Mini.
I think it's a compromise between what you have with the iPhone, which is a little too small, but in some cases, I think a 10-inch tablet is also a little bit too big to just carry around with you wherever you go,
Yeah, I mean, this thing is pretty big. What I'm hoping to see is a thinner bezel with this device, because this bezel is gigantic.
Yeah,
especially when you got the white one.
What they would need to do is make it lighter and thinner.
Lighter,
Which I think
thinner,
they'll obviously do, because
Wow,
it's,
they've never done that
next
before.
generation.
That's being genius.
I mean, well, they got thicker, Josh. The last couple models, they've gotten thicker. I don't really care about the camera. The reports are coming out that the iPad Mini 2 and the iPad 5, 5th generation iPad, will both have an 8 megapixel camera in it. Huge improvements over
It has to, because it's been 2 generations since they've updated that camera now.
Yeah, it's going to be huge improvements. Also, you're going to have the Touch ID and a rumor on a variation of the A7 processor.
Interesting.
Yeah. Listen, I'm excited for this thing. I'm hoping it's, they make some significant changes, because I've been waiting for about 2 years.
64-bit.
And 64-bit, yeah, that's another one. So 64-bit processing, which is going to be a huge improvement as far as performance goes. But now we're coming to a weird part where this device, if you add all these things, including the 64-bit, including the performance and the horsepower they're putting into it, you are becoming somewhat of a PC competitor. Some of the shortcomings for the iPad were, obviously, you can't do a whole lot because it's a slower device. You can't do everything. But now it's becoming a serious device. So I'm going to present you guys with this question. Okay. With 64-bit processing, with almost every possible app available being on this thing, so does this get closer to being a competitor to the PC in the traditional computing sense? I'll go to John first.
I think it does, and part of that is not just the hardware improvements to the iPad, but just software generations being evolved. We're now kind of at the point where the hardware and the software can be made to work on tablets, whereas I would say 2-3 years ago it wasn't even possible, because nobody would even consider Microsoft Office on the iPad. That was unheard of. Yeah. Now you actually have that on the iPad, and I think in that case it is somewhat of a replacement. I mean, it's not going to be a total replacement, and Paul Theron knows this very well, that when he does all that typing and writing, you can't replace that at all with a tablet. You just got to have a real computer to do something like that.
How about you, Josh?
I think it pretty much that was awesome. I think it pretty much separates the pro from the average computer. person.
Yeah, but I mean, the enthusiast, the
Basically.
pro will always require, you know, a physical keyboard
Right.
and computer. But for the everyday user, I'm talking about, you know, checking
Every
your
day's
emails,
gone. It's over.
checking your email, sending out, you know, doing Facebooking, maybe doing some photo editing on there, shooting some videos of your kids, talking to your Aunt Nancy in Tuscaloosa.
Wow.
Do you need a laptop? Do you need a desktop to do that? Or is this going to be good enough if you can get some sort of Bluetooth keyboard?
This is it.
This is, yeah, I mean,
is it.
I think the 64-bit processing concept behind these devices, with the iPhone, it's not as big of a deal as it is with the iPad because it makes a tremendous difference in performance, especially in
I would agree with
applications. In applications, I got a chance to play around with the latest iPhone, and compared to the iPhone 5, when you're running these apps, it is a lot quicker. I mean,
Right.
I would say double the quickness.
But it also comes with the consequence of applications also having to be larger.
Applications have to be larger, yeah, obviously. But it's an interesting evolution we're in, and we always have the argument where, oh yeah, it's evolutionary, not revolutionary. And and for one thing, I don't think we don't need a revolutionary product every 2 years to kind of make you know, computing hot again. I think things like this, it's a gradual improvement. And 64-bit processing, for example, is one of those things that, you know, makes the gap a little smaller between the traditional PC and a tablet. I'm excited to see it.
But that also has the detriment of, you know, when you're seeing the evolution of it year by year rather than, you know, every couple of years, people kind of get tired and want
Right.
something new quicker.
I think a perfect example of it being done wrong
The
is
playbook.
yeah, the playbook, but I'm talking about major
playbook.
changes, right? Like Samsung throws everything, you know, minus the kitchen sink at every phone that they put out. They put out the most gimmicky, weird.
amazing.
You know, I played around with a Note 3 today. Rich Butler has one, and he doesn't have to touch the screen with a stylus.
That's ridiculous.
It's the dumbest thing in the world. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand why you're using a stylus. It's just another gimmick that they're throwing at it to say, like, well, look what we have and the other one doesn't. And that's it being done wrong. I think the Touch ID that they put in, I think it's done really well because I'm tired of putting in my password every time I'm trying to download an app. If I just put my finger there you go. That's my password. I think something like that, again, not a revolutionary change, but a small improvement over the prior generation.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So October 22nd. Now, do we have a release date for, and here's the other thing, the Mac Pro, we don't have information on yet.
Nope.
No release date, so
None.
we're most probably going to get some sort of release date for that. We also don't have a release date for Haswell-based MacBook Pros, which I'm hoping to get. And do we have an official release date for Mavericks?
No.
No.
So we're
I'm
kind-
assuming it's going to be, you know, either the day of the event or a couple weeks.
or
after
what?
the event.
Yeah, or maybe like the day after or whatever. you
Yeah,
know?
something like that. It's going to be pretty much around that event.
I think a perfect example of this no longer being Steve Jobs' Apple is how they announced the Mac Pro. Really convoluted. No
It's a good-
no information beyond what they announced. No pricing, no release date. This is it. This is the future. This is what we're doing. We're not telling you anything beyond that. While if it was a Steve Jobs announcement, he wouldn't have announced it and let it sit. He would have actually, you know, said like, this is the release date. This is how much it's going to be. You could pre-order now. So it's just these little things that, you know, bother me a little bit about the company. I don't know. It you know, I find it fascinating how they're doing that.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. Oh,
I
thank
don't
you.
either.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
John, you want to pick a story?
I want to talk about these BlackBerry stuff that we've seen in the news this week because they're still kind of a hot topic these days in terms of, you know, their failure. It was announced this week that BlackBerry is developing a simple enterprise cloud service for BlackBerry, Android, and iOS, which is really interesting. What this means is that they're trying to create some sort of a enterprise cloud system that will run on Android and iOS, connect to BlackBerry servers in some way, and have some sort of BlackBerry enterprise support, I guess. This apparently won't require any IT experience or servers, and it's going to cost less than a cup of coffee, they say, per user per month. So far, they don't have a name for this yet, but it's going to operate across all those devices. And I don't know. I think this might be a good thing, but at the same time, it could be too little, too late yet again.
Would you have faith in this company? Would you start investing interest in whatever they're offering if you know that they are very close to shutting their doors?
This is the funny thing because this service sounds vaguely familiar to an idea that Mike Lazaridis suggested about a year and a half ago to Thorsten Heinz, and he wanted to do like this SMS 2.0 thing where they would have BlackBerry Messenger. They would offer that to carriers as a standalone application as a way to have this more inclusive user base, but also have, appeasement of these carriers for the cost of their service. And here they are doing pretty much something very similar to that.
Did you read the story how Rogers is now going to carry the Z30?
Yeah, that was kind of a debacle because they announced that they weren't going to carry the Z30, but then I guess there was some sort of outrage over it, and all of a sudden they're going to carry it after all.
I don't know. I had such faith in this company, and I really thought they were going to kind of survive this in a way and kind of push through. But now it's so unstable, the entire environment, where you're still getting the same mentality where, hey, we're still going to put out 4 phones a year, which they shouldn't be.
If you remember, this is very interesting because we always talked about how BlackBerry Enterprise servers were just these greatest things ever, and we always speculated about the day when iOS and the iPhone could kind of replace the BlackBerry in the enterprise world.
And a lot of people said that they never will.
And yet here we are now. We're seeing a lot of iPhones and iPads in the enterprise world, and that's kind of biting BlackBerry in the ass over that. Whereas if they had done this initially, I think they could have held on to that enterprise, their bread and butter, but now they've kind of let that slip through their hands as well.
What happened with the BBM that they were about to release for Android?
That's something that's extremely disappointing because apparently it got leaked for Android, and when users started logging onto the servers, apparently there was some sort of cascading effect to the servers that created some sort of mess and bogged down the servers or something like that. So they had to take everything offline and delay it to fix this. And they still have yet to fix this and release a new version with the fix in it for users. So even though it was leaked, nobody's been able to use it because they took everything down and they have no idea when they're going to roll this back out.
Josh, how many more months do you give this company?
Wait. Hold on. Listen to that. Ready?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
No.
That's exactly their future.
Nothing. How many do you think they're gonna survive 2014, or do you think that's gonna be the year?
End of 2014.
Yeah,
a year.
I think they're gonna. They still have a couple things that they could possibly do to.
Yeah, a couple gimmicks and then it's over.
Yeah. It is very disappointing.
You know what? I do feel like that this whole enterprise cloud thing is a gimmick. It's just something for them to try and save face a little bit longer so that they can get this stupid deal done with this financial consortium and hopefully move on.
Right. I agree.
Which I think is in a way pointless. It's like you're already screwed more ways than 5.
Right.
Yeah. It is.
You know what I find fascinating though is that there's another story that coincides with this is that the BlackBerry co-founders are actually looking to put in a bid to possibly buy or take over either parts of or all of BlackBerry.
Well, they're going to attempt to do what Michael.
Fascinating.
They're going to attempt to do what Dell did.
Yes,
but the problem with that is that they still need a investment group to kind of come in.
But you also remember that these were also the same people that were mismanaging BlackBerry to the point that they couldn't do a damn thing.
I think the biggest downfall. I mean, were they mismanaging the enterprise division as far as the services go, or did they just mismanage it as far as not keeping up with the times with the product?
It was a little bit of both. A large part of it was just not being able to adapt and move quick enough. It's so hilarious that their name was Research and Motion, and they couldn't do anything. They couldn't get anything done. They had no motion. They had no research.
Yeah.
Sad. Very upsetting.
It is very sad.
It is, because I actually thought they put out a good product. Samsung.
I love that camera.
I do. It had the best aperture out of any of the cameras that I used. Samsung is going to be the first phone maker to put out a curved smartphone in the Galaxy. It's going to be called the Galaxy Round. It's going to be a curved glass, 5.7-inch OLED screen, 1080p, and it's going to be a curved glass. What do you? First of all, why? Right? I mean, let's talk about that. Here, let me see if I got an image here. I put in Galaxy Round, and I literally got light bulbs.
Wow.
I mean, that's what I got. Let me see if I can switch the camera. What shot are we talking about? This? No. Yep, there we go. That is what it looks like.
It's got this concave shape to it. It's. I mean, you can kind of tell, but not really.
I mean, other than for wow, this thing is thick.
No,
Look at
it's
that.
curved.
But other than the fact that like, oh, I could put a curved glass display. Like, what is the reason for this?
There is none.
So
Gimmick.
Let's see. Here's a video. I mean, oh wow, it turns on and off.
Look at that.
I mean, other than it being like a gimmick and saying like, hey, I could do this, like I don't see what the pro is. They're saying, going down a list here of why they could do it. They say that if it's aesthetically, it's pleasing.
I don't understand this whole curved sensation that people are craving for. Flexible glass and all this stuff. Like I just don't see it something that's anything special yet. I think we're still, listen, 2-3 years away from, these flexible displays that everybody is asking for.
I mean, the Nexus S and the Galaxy have a curvature to it also. I mean, I have a Nexus Galaxy, and there is a curve. It is curved somewhat, but the glass isn't curved. The case is, yeah. The screen is straight. So I don't see why you would. I don't know. It just, and this is the problem I have with Samsung. They release these like 5,000 phones a week, and nobody really cares about it.
Right.
Do you want this phone, Josh? I know you're a Galaxy fan.
You know I hate this phone.
You hate it.
This is a terrible gimmick that
so negative.
A couple thousand people would buy. That's it.
You think so?
There you go. Yeah.
Do you know how much this phone costs, though?
How much?
Much.
1 million won, which is around $1,000. They're selling this thing in Korea
For $1,000.
It's going to be $1,000 for this phone.
Wow.
Simply
Awful.
because it's curved.
So bad. I want to talk about something that I'm very interested in, guys, and that's Google TV. I seem to be the only one that still cares about this stupid product. Nobody's talking about Google TV. Google's not even talking about Google TV because guess what? They're eliminating the Google TV name. It is now.
Tell me.
It is now Android TV.
Oh wow.
They're starting over.
They're starting over. Google TV will soon be rebranded, and it'll go into Android, where they're saying that TV manufacturers are now going to be sporting Android TV. I mean, listen, not a bad idea because the prior brand failed. Android is a successful brand for them, but I don't think it failed because of the name. I think it failed because of lack of interest from Google themselves. The last update that this thing got was in 2011, and it was running Honeycomb.
Absolutely.
That was the last
I couldn't
update.
agree with you more on that. The fact is that they didn't do anything to help this product. Everything that they said that they were going to do, they never really did. They promised all these things, that there were going to be all these manufacturers out there with Google TV, and we never heard a peep from any of them. We barely saw anything. We saw we saw like Logitech review, and that was it. That was the only Google TV device.
It seems like this
It was supposed
device
to be integrated with all these TVs. Never happened. Google never really even released updates for this thing.
It seems like this device was more for manufacturers than the consumer. What I feel like they tried to do was say, "Hey, look what we got. Put this on your TV." Oh, you're not putting it on the TV? Oh, well. And that was it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's what happened with them. But the smart TV
But I think
market
it would have been. Go ahead.
the smart TV market has Google does have a place in it. When you have smart TV, companies putting out these awful interfaces and these awful experiences for the end user, nobody's using it.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I have so many friends that have a brand new smart TV, that have Netflix on there, that have Hulu on there. You know what they do? They go and buy a Roku and they use that for Netflix. Why? You already have it built in. Why do you go and buy? Because the the experience is awful. It's slow, it's sluggish, it barely works.
Vizio Smart Apps is the worst thing ever. Having to
I don't think it's that
navigate
bad.
around-
You think it's that bad?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a problem with
it's awful. It's so. It
just have
took
to be
me
patient.
2 minutes to navigate through the menu to get
Josh,
to what I wanted.
Did Josh just say you just have to be patient?
Yeah, I've noticed with like lesser technologies, speed is not good. So if you're just patient, it works perfectly.
It works, yeah. You got to wait about a minute and a half. It's like my cable
Yeah.
box.
Yeah, you just hit it.
I think
sit
Google
back,
TV would have been a
relax.
great replacement for these smart TV interfaces because not only does it work better,
What about
look
Chrome
better,
TV?
but
Is
it
that
also includes a
integrated?
browser.
You mean the Chromecast?
Chromecast.
They did say that they were going to integrate it in incoming models. I think with the revamped
Never.
Android TV, whatever they call it, they'll probably have the Chromecast feature enabled in that.
Never the version I have though. There's no chance.
There's,
That's over. Plug in a
listen,
USB cord.
again, I am now once again. There's some hope for this. Hopefully,
Oh,
at
God.
CES, we'll get to see
Sure,
what
there
this
is.
is going to be about, and
Okay.
they won't ever do anything with it again either.
But even if they do something at CES, it's going to be another year before we see whatever it is that they said at CES was going to happen.
Listen, we all know this, and you know this better than anyone, Andrew, with What the Tech, where you talk about Microsoft, that they could totally destroy this market with the next Xbox, and they're just not putting enough effort into it. When I heard the next Xbox, all that TV stuff wasn't working, I was like, I don't want it.
What's not working?
Well, it's like right now it's just a pass through, but before they were like you could be watching a game, you would have your stats come up, you would have alerts, like that's all apps that aren't going to be there at launch.
Yeah, see that's the biggest problem that they face,
Right.
and that's
But they could destroy the market. Podcasts, alerts when people go live, like it could be unstoppable.
yeah. I mean the same reasoning behind allowing third-party applications. We still don't have a clear understanding of who's going to be able to develop for this thing.
Right.
Can I develop for it? I mean, they're saying they're opening it up to developers, but the reality is they're
The cost.
opening up to game publishers. They're not
Right.
opening it up to me that's going to be able to develop a GFQ app on this thing.
Right. You're not Netflix.
I'm not Netflix. I'm not Rev3. I mean, I'm not, these
Oh, you're
big,
calling out Rev 3. I was just calling out a monster company that could never get me.
I'm not Rev3.
Okay.
But it is interesting how nobody's doing television right. And
I agree.
I can't figure out
Yeah.
why nobody's doing TV right.
There's no
But I think
connection right now between
Google
the
is
TV
doing
and the
TV
internet.
better
You think Google's doing it better than who?
than all these TV manufacturers themselves that try to come up with these interfaces and smart TV interfaces. The Vizio TV apps things is just absolutely horrendous.
You know what I did use though? So what is Sony using for this? Because I did use a Sony and it was pretty decent.
I don't know.
I'm curious on what Sony's using for their smart TV. It's only what? There's the smart apps for the smart TV and there's Google. I mean, that's about it. So it is
Samsung.
Samsung. Yeah.
Right.
They
Theirs
have
is
their own.
Good on their TV. I like it.
I think they're using this whatever the same thing is. They all use the same service.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's terrible.
Microsoft Store to open at midnight for the Surface 2 launch. October 21st will be
You'll
the
be
release
there?
date for this. Also, it'll be the day that Windows 8.1 comes out. So they're doing a midnight launch for the Surface 2. Anybody here waiting online to get it at midnight?
No.
You have no interest in the Surface, right?
No, I have interest, but I'm not waiting in line for it.
I know Suncast is going to be online.
Yeah,
I know he's dying to get this
with
thing.
bated breath.
Yeah. But, the more interesting story behind this is that 8.1 is also coming out, and that hopefully will bridge the gap for people who are adamant for sticking with 7 and not jumping over to 8 because of all the issues that they have. I think this is another step closer to it kind of being, usable for a lot of people. So I thought that was that's the biggest story here.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, John, pick a story.
I get to pick another story?
Yeah.
I got one.
Hold on. Go. You pick yours then,
Can
Josh.
you believe it? How about this?
Yeah.
Nielsen teams up with Twitter to create social TV ratings. They're actually being progressive and doing something that people can actually track and understand.
What do you think of that? Do you think it's a good
I love
idea?
it. Yes. More shows that are like, those indie type shows will get heard here if there's an audience that's out there on Twitter.
Yeah, I think Nielsen. I think Nielsen going online and using Twitter to kind of rate shows. It's an amazing idea, and it's going to encourage other shows to kind of gain some sort of popularity. Like this week, Scandal topped the list as under top trended shows online. I think they do have. I wonder how they do the score though. Like, what is a score based on?
I think it's if it's mentioned or hashtagged in a tweet is the official, isn't it? Yes,
I think it's based on hashtags.
Based on the hashtag.
No, I think if it's a mention inside of it too. Oh no, then they couldn't track that. You're right. It would have to be hashtag.
Like Breaking Bad, obviously.
How would they do? Would you be a Nielsen Twitter family? I would be in.
That thing is such a sham. They come to your house and then you don't get anything in return.
Right.
It's
Just some
interesting
guy.
because, I wonder how exactly you're going to attract this because some shows, and I'll give you a good example. I'm a fan of The Voice. The Voice actually has multiple hashtags during their shows. So they'll have like one hashtag when somebody's singing that has some sort of moment, but then they'll have a different hashtag for some other singer
That's too
on the show.
complicated. They got to work on that.
So are they going to track all of those hashtags and combine them into one?
I guess what would happen is that the
And is this only going to work for TV shows that are actually on cable and whatnot, or is this going to work for maybe some of the stuff that we see on the internet? Is this going to work for people that are watching stuff that's online, even if it's on Hulu?
No,
if there's a TV show on Hulu,
That's the thing. That's the problem is that it does not work for any other online entertainment. Only people watching it live on their television and then doing those hashtags.
But here's let me just throw this at you. Anything online has data tracking it, right? I mean, there's 100%. Well, I should say 95% accurate data tracking popularity of certain shows.
Not publicly, is there?
Not publicly, but analytics. Right. I mean, you could get it.
True, but this is public.
You don't need a company like Nielsen to kind of trace what my ratings are. But for television, it's a totally different story because they're just sending out the content. They're not getting feedback. Yeah. Cable companies, as far as I know, and I've always been amazed at this, do not do their own internal tracking for TV shows, which baffles me. Like, I don't understand why the cable box cannot be the one tracking what shows are getting the ratings. It has to be a third party like Nielsen to do it, and they have to come and install a box. I think it's
something like 2 years ago,
I don't know. The ratings, to me, I feel like it's a big sham. And if they go to a new system, just like what happened with Arbitron to People Meter here for radio, everything just like flipped upside down. Shows that were getting, to the top rated radio show in New York ended up becoming, like the Spanish morning show.
Right.
It just totally shifted. So I think something like this can potentially change everything. I don't know. I kind of like the fact that they're incorporating the internet in this.
They're using their name. Let's be honest. They're putting Nielsen behind monitoring Twitter.
Yeah.
And blah blah blah. Someone came up with this. Great idea.
All right, John, go into a story and then we'll do our picks.
I want to get your guys' opinion on the NSA tracking cell phone users. James Clapper, the director of national security, came out the other day and declassified a whole bunch of stuff. And in the stuff, it says that the NSA tested its system's ability to handle bulk data on the location of Americans' cell phones, and thus oftentimes, of course, the location of us included in them. The information comes not from the Snowden documents, but written out by the director of national security, James Clapper, in preparation for potential questions at a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing.
So now they're tracking everybody.
Good God.
Yeah, they just wanted to see if they could actually track a whole bunch of people using cell phones.
And they can.
Right.
Even though they don't have anybody's permission to do this, and it's kind of illegal to do that.
It's a different world we're in. I mean, this is the scary part. There's no more anonymity. There's very little privacy, especially when you're on the internet. What I'm amazed at more than anything else is the fact that a lot of people are making this big fuss about the government tracking everything people are doing and how the NSA knows what you're doing, but the same people are going on Facebook and posting the same exact information, like where they are, who they're with, what they're doing.
Right. Right.
I think we have a
But isn't there more of an expectation of privacy when you're posting on a private company?
If I'm posting anything on Facebook, I have zero expectation of privacy. Or same with Twitter.
They have a privacy agreement.
Which pretty much tells you what? That, you know what I mean? Like, I have anything that I do on the internet, I do it with the assumption that everybody is going to see it.
Right.
This is not this. I'm not doing it in my home.
Do you assume? Do you have that same expectation of the government tracking your whereabouts and everything that you do on your cell phone?
No, I mean, listen, that's a whole different story. Now I'm not putting it out there, right? It's not my doing. I'm not the one providing people with this information. The information
that's
is being
the difference,
taken from me.
That nobody was actually knowingly providing this information to the NSA.
Yeah, and they're taking it anyway. It actually is a humongous story but because of the way, I don't want to get into my opinion on mainstream media, but it seems like this thing has been pushed under the rug and it's totally forgotten about now. It was a hot story for about a week and now it's gone. Nobody cares about it.
All anybody cares about right now is the government shutdown. So anything else is kind of insignificant.
I mean, the fact of the matter is there was more fuss over Facebook's policy changes than this.
Yeah.
People were so devastated that you could see somebody's post on Facebook. Oh my God, you could see my post. You shouldn't be posting it.
Right.
Simple. Done. I don't see the argument. Oh, Facebook's going to use my photos. They're going to use it. They could sell my. You know what? Why are you? It's a free service. If you don't want your photos out there, don't post it there. You know what you should do? Take your photo, save it on your computer, and share it to your friends with an email.
No, then it's out anyway. What do you
make a CD?
No,
I don't care.
Don't ever put anything on the internet.
Yeah. I have zero. Anything I do on the internet, I have zero expectation of it being private.
Right. We are so lucky we grew up right before this was like a thing. You know, like we grew up and had a life. And
wait
a
minute. Colm, when did you grow up?
I grew up like I didn't get my first cell phone until I graduated college.
I didn't realize you're a grown up.
I am a grown up now.
You're a real boy.
This is a 1,000 count
Egyptian
sweatshirt right here.
1,000 count. But no, you bring up an interesting point because we are the last generation that knows the world prior to the internet.
Analog. We're the last analog generation.
With the last, yeah, exactly. Like we didn't have digital cameras when I was in high school.
Right.
Like I'm sure. You know what? No, I should say we did have it, but nobody had one. There was barely any camera phones. I mean, impossible to have a camera phone.
I remember we got a bag phone for my family car, and like you'd only use it in case of emergencies.
What phone?
It was called like a bag phone. It was in a bag because it had a giant battery and it'd be a phone in the car. And we had it like early on in like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we are the last generation of that, and it's a way of thinking more than what they are doing with it. I don't care what YouTube and Google is doing with my information. I'm the one providing them with it.
Right.
I have zero trust in them. When all these kids are going and posting all this crazy stuff on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, I thank God that didn't exist when I was in school.
But see, there's a different expectation when it's the government.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I see what he's saying.
No, you're absolutely right with that in that sense. Yeah, I have a totally different expectation, and it's not information that I'm providing the government. They're getting it from me. But in the sense of anonymity and privacy and what people's expectations are, I think people's expectations are totally skewed. And it's a case-by-case basis. I think people have unrealistic expectations. To have the expectation that the government isn't listening on my phone calls, you know what? That's an expectation I should be having, and the government shouldn't be doing it. But if I'm going in on Facebook and posting all this crazy stuff and thinking that information will one day not be out there, I'm insane.
Right.
Yeah.
If that's the case. I'm totally out of my mind, and I'm totally out of touch.
Are there servers out there that like Verizon, since I pay for that as my internet, that has like everything I've ever done on the internet since I've had the service?
Probably.
Yeah, because think about it. Yeah, absolutely. Because your IP is identified to you at that moment, right? Even they know who's using that IP at that given time. They know exactly where you're going and what you're doing.
Wow.
Coma's screwed now.
Yeah, all those websites are requesting.
No, doesn't it say private browsing? It'll just say that, I guess.
Nothing's private.
Well, private
love
browsing. There's two definitions. One is the private browsing is just for the computer.
Right. But it still knows I went to that site.
I mean,
right?
I guess, John, he could go behind like a proxy.
Oh, here, Brian
Yeah,
Monroe
but
knows
still,
something.
There's still footprints and whatnot.
Yeah, there's always a footprint to what you're doing. If somebody really wants to find out where you were and what you were doing, you're going to find out.
Right.
I mean, you saw that big bust on Silk Road last week.
No.
Silk Road is a portion on Tor. You got access with a Tor with the Tor browser, and it's the back ends of the web. It's a special protocol, and a lot of people use it for illegal stuff like kill for hire plots and mostly drug use.
Oh, I did hear about this.
And
okay, I know what you're talking about.
It got shut down. The government seized it, and now they have all these people's informations that were buying drugs
Wow.
on the service, including other illegal stuff. So, and the thing that baffles me is, I'm not condoning drug use, but if you are going to do drugs and if you're going to use drugs, what would make you go and order them online?
Right.
I mean, that is the most
Convenience.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, it really is.
It's a different world.
It really. What happened to your friendly drug dealer down the block?
Yeah.
I'm not again. I'm
He's out of
making a little
business.
joke out of
Friendly
this.
drug dealer. Isn't that an oxymoron?
He got replaced by the mailboy who just packs your drugs in a
But
box.
listen, I'm making a little joke out of this, but in reality, I mean, this says a lot about our society and what we've become, where we have this bizarre mentality where, like, oh yeah, I'm just ordering it from this guy and he's going to send it to me. You're doing so many illegal things. You're mailing drugs across the country, and you have this expectation that it's going to arrive, and you're buying stuff online with all your information going there for a specific thing that's illegal, and you're thinking, well, nobody's going to find out. We are a dumb society if that's the case. we really are. And I think it's the same people that are going on Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff, posting things. I mean, it's insane. I'll give you one example, and then we could go to our picks of the week about this false sense of privacy. Someone on my Twitter, there's this girl on Twitter, and she will constantly complain about how awful her job is, how awful her boss is, and just say awful things about her coworkers. It's on Twitter. One of her coworkers found the Twitter. She just got fired for the stuff that she was saying about her job on Twitter, and her thing was, don't these people have anything better to do than to become nosy and to look into my private life? I mean, you're posting it on Twitter, and you're still considering it private. So, you know what? We're idiots, and if something like that happens to you, guess what? Good thing. I'm glad it happened. Maybe you'll learn your lesson.
Wow.
Don't buy drugs on the internet either.
No.
No. Go to your friendly neighborhood drug dealer.
Mo.
Mo.
No.
He gives you a pack of chocolate every time you go buy your pot from him. And a hug.
That's a nice guy.
Yeah, nice firm handshake, and before you leave, he gives you a nice hug and he tells you everything's going to be all right.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
He's a pharmacist?
He's the pharmacist.
That's all for now.
Yeah. That's his day job. All right, guys. Time for picks of the week. This is a portion that we select a product, a website, anything that we like that we want to feature on the show. Who's going to go first this week for the pick? You know what? I'm going to go first. Colm, you go first.
Did you just get my message, or am I doing the first one?
Oh, you sent me a message. Okay, you could do it.
All right. because I know more about this. I want to talk about a game that came out recently in the last couple weeks by Rockstar Games. It is GTA 5. It's set, and this is the crazy thing, and I want to hear your guys' opinion on this. It is now the single most most sold piece of entertainment in history. How do you think about that? How do you feel about that?
Everybody bought this game, right?
Oh yeah, it's like everyone. It set records. It's destroyed any movie amount. It was like $1 billion overnight. Unbelievable. So I love it. It's unbelievable. You should all play it.
So it takes place in Blaine County.
Yeah, you know that? You've been there? It's
No.
basically LA.
Yeah.
It's that's the thing that makes the game is the environment and the city and the atmosphere. I mean, you really do feel like you're walking down these streets. It has this great storyline. You play as 3 different characters. If you like Mass Effect or Gears of War type of combat, it's sort of similar like that in the heist.
How
but I think
easy
it's
is
worth
it?
a play.
If I were to pick this thing up, I haven't played a video game in years. How easy is it for me to have a good time?
As long as you had played one of the like a Zelda or an MMO where you get a quest and do something, you're fine. If you're like Michael Manna, who will go do the first quest and then get a level 5 rating and just fight cops for the rest of the game.
Is that
and
what he
never
does?
advance. Yeah, he never gets past like the first mission.
He just
do that.
wants to fight cops
Yeah, just fight cops. That's what I want to do.
and hit the prostitutes.
Yeah. So yeah, Rockstar Games. Go to their site, check out the game if you haven't already bought it. But apparently, everyone in the world bought it. So, biggest piece of entertainment in history.
It looks great.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It looks excellent.
Not on PC. Only consoles.
Isn't it coming to PC?
Not officially yet.
Okay.
Rumored.
Rumors. All right.
Yes.
Rumor
You know
wells.
it well. I mean, let's be honest. Yes, it's going to eventually come.
All right. John, what's your
Heard it
pick of the week?
You got my my
Yes,
intro, right?
I do.
All right. So this week I had an unfortunate problem where I accidentally deleted a whole bunch of media from an external hard drive that I had with all that media stored on it, and I needed to get that back because there was a lot of stuff that I accidentally deleted. And the program I used to do this is called Recover. It's a
nice.
pretty awesome application. It's free, but it also has a couple of paid tiers that you can go for with more support. But the free version works pretty dang well, and I'm ecstatic that I was able to use this program for free to recover my data. It'll undelete all the files from your computer, your camera, your USB drive, your iPod, whatever it is. This program will do its best job to recover that data for you. The best thing you can do if you are ever in this situation is to stop using the device that you accidentally delete files on. Because if you start overwriting files and information to the same drive where that information was accidentally deleted, you might not be able to recover it.
Yeah.
Luckily
and-
for me, I was smart enough not to do anything with this hard drive and immediately went to recover these files with Recover.
So,
it has a
so
quick
let
start
me
wizard.
let me just chime in here,
Yeah.
John. I had this happen to me, and
Yeah.
on my Mac, and I deleted. I think it was like 5 or 6 files that I really needed, and I deleted them probably 2 weeks prior to this. So what happens is when it's searching for the files, deleted files, you can kind of select like I'm looking for a JPEG or I'm looking for a WAV file or MOV, whatever it is. Or you could tell it to just search for everything that it could recover. When I let it search for everything it could recover, it's totally random. So there's no rhyme or reason on what's getting deleted and what's not. It's just whatever sector it was writing over. So it was able to recover stuff from like 2 years ago, because that sector was not written over. But what I was looking for, it was too late, and I couldn't get it, and you know, it was obviously a couple of weeks had gone by. But like you said, if you delete something and you realize it quickly, there's a good chance you could find it immediately. But if
Yes.
you're, you know, if I deleted it like a week ago and I downloaded 100 gigs of music, the odds are that thing is gone. So go right
You
ahead.
just got to be very careful and go immediately to recovering stuff. It's an awesome program. It works with Windows only, but it works even with Windows 8, which is pretty cool. It has a portable version, so you can put it on a USB drive, take it with you. And it can also do secure deletion. So it can do the opposite. It can securely erase files from your computer as well, in case you needed to do something of that sort. It's a free program. It also has some business support as well for it. It's an awesome program. I can't recommend it enough because it just works so well. And it's pretty easy to use as well. It's called Recover, and you can go to piriform.com. I'm going to spell that out for you. It's PIRI form.com.
Very, very good pick of the week, John. Very good pick. My pick of the week this week is a hardware product. I don't know if you know that, Josh.
Which one is that,
My
Andrew?
pick of the week is the Nokia 520, Lumia 520.
Oh, tell me about that.
It is $99, no contract.
Wow.
I've spent a lot of time talking about this over the last 2 days, and I promise this will be the last time I talk about this. But the reason why I really like this phone, now you're not getting, this is not a high-end phone by any means. You're not getting the top-of-the-line performance on this thing. You're not getting the best display out there. But this is why I really like this phone. And if anybody has been wanting to try a Windows Phone, or if they want to get another phone, a secondary phone, this is the phone you should get. $99, no contract at all. You could order it on T-Mobile or AT&T. It's GSM, obviously. You could get, I think it's the 521 and the 520. 520 is on AT&T, 521 is on T-Mobile. $99, you could order it pretty much anywhere on Amazon. You could use our Amazon affiliate link if you order it. Or you could order Best Buy. It's available everywhere. But the reason why I really like it, there's no contract, so you're not tied into anything. And it's actually, the performance is stellar on this thing. I know a lot of people that are kind of going over to prepaid, and they don't really want to be tied down to a contract. This thing comes with a SIM card, so you already have a SIM card in here, a prepaid SIM card. You're getting 4G on this thing.
How do you like Windows Phone?
I really like Windows Phone.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it is.
it's super pretty. It's great.
Yeah.
The downside is, I mean, obviously the lack of apps on this thing, the ecosystem that revolves around these apps, and you're not getting a lot. I mean, that's
I
just the
agree.
bottom line of this thing. That's its shortcoming.
It's a secondary device, in my opinion.
And
it's a great secondary device.
The truth is they don't have the advantage that iOS has had or
Right,
Android
right.
has had, because they've been
It's
out
getting there.
Yeah, it's slowly getting there. The problem is the development on this thing.
Right.
But overall,
Beautiful.
looks great. The operating system is excellent. What I've been trying to do with this thing, this is an experiment I'm doing. I want to only use this with Wi-Fi. I'm not going to put a cellular data on this thing. And the way that I'm doing is, obviously in the house I have Wi-Fi, but in my area in New York City now, Xfinity and Time Warner now have hotspots around the entire city.
Right.
I'm not recommending you guys do this. Take it, for what it's worth. But what I've been doing is, I know people that have Xfinity and I know people that have Time Warner. I've been able to use their account for testing purposes to see if I could walk around town just using, Wi-Fi with those Wi-Fi hotspots. I have to tell you, the last 2 days that I've done this, everywhere that I have gone, I've had internet on this thing. I have been able to make some Skype calls. I probably have a 70% success rate with getting the Skype call to work. I'm going to try a different protocol, maybe something that uses less bandwidth than Skype, but it is totally possible, if you live in a major metropolitan area, to get a phone without any data and just use the Wi-Fi hotspots for voice and data connection. I think it's pretty cool. And by the way, the Wi-Fi hotspots I've been able to get, the most I was able to get was 3 megabits by 2 megabits. On average, I'm around 3 and 1,
It's not bad.
which is not bad at all.
So you have pretty much like a Windows iPod.
I have a Windows iPod, and that's actually why I got it. I get my podcast on here. I'm able to play games on here. The camera's pretty good. I mean, it's better than a lot of other stuff on the market currently.
Right.
And a lot of people go and buy these prepaid Android phones, and they're paying $150 for them, and they're garbage. If you're looking to get a prepaid phone, this is the only one that I could possibly recommend to you. And that's my pick of the week, the Lumia 520.
That's cool.
But the more, I got this for experimental purposes, so I could see if I could actually, if it's possible to not get cellular data and just use, Wi-Fi. And
Right.
you know what? I've been pretty successful at it. I'm actually pretty surprised on how it's been working. And I'm able to bounce off of, either Time Warner or whatever. The odds are, listen, you could get away with just using Time Warner or Xfinity, but I want to see what's performing better. They both perform at the same level. I think the repeaters are at the same spots also. So that's my pick of the week. And I
Great.
guess it's going to be a long-term test, so I'll let you guys know in a couple weeks how it's going. That's it. That's all I have to say. I have nothing else to say to you guys. I'm going home. All right, guys. That wraps it up for today. Go to our website, gfqnetwork.com. Also, remember, subscribe to our podcast. It helps us out when you do it. We're on iPhone. We're on Windows Phone. We're everywhere podcasts are available. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Zarian. Josh is at Culmination. And, of course, John is at Suncast on Twitter. You could also, hey, guys, help us out. Use our Amazon affiliate link. If you're buying stuff on Amazon, like the Nokia Lumia 520, we have a little link on the side. If you're watching live, you can click on it. Or if you're listening, you could go to gfq.co/Amazon. That's gfq.co/Amazon. And we got a tiny little portion from every sale. A couple percent here and there, but it helps us out whenever we need to do an upgrade to the studio. And, of course, we appreciate it very much so. Until next time, guys, take care and brush your hair. We'll see you next week.